I don't know if you guys saw this, but these journalists, man, you don't hate them enough. Gamerant on X. If Hogwarts Legacy 2 wants to avoid the same boycotts its predecessor faced, the sequel cannot take the same approach that the original did. And they wrote an entire article about that, which, I mean, on the surface, if you know nothing about the game's history or anything at all, you'd be intrigued to be like, oh, okay, there was a boycott with the first one. I want to learn more about this. Let's find out about it. Did you guys know the original Hogwarts Legacy sold over 34 million copies despite the quote unquote boycott? I swear, these journos. That is more than double what Ghost of Tsushima sold. That's actually almost triple. This is one of the most successful video games of all time. 34 million copies sold. But yet, Gamerant writes a title to avoid the boycott. What boycott? But I mean, clearly, this is either pure retardum or they are perfectly encapsulating clickbait nature of controversies, because I am diving in knee deep to this, whatever the hell this is. Gamerant controversy. Hogwarts Legacy 2 can't sidestep the franchise's biggest controversy, by Megan Lorich, who is someone I've never heard of before. Are we gonna be that surprised, Megan? I mean, come on. What are we doing, Megan? What are we doing? Anyways, for years, the Harry Potter franchise was dominating pulp culture, with Hogwarts Legacy acting as the franchise's most popular video game adaptation. It's no wonder that controversy surrounding the franchise has sprung up at some point. And the first Harry Potter book was released almost 30 years ago. Damn, I feel old. Nevertheless, it's disappointing that such a well-loved piece of pop culture has been sullied in the eyes of many Potterheads, despite new content for the franchise, like Hogwarts Legacy, continuing to release. Unfortunately, Hogwarts Legacy was unable to unmuddy the name of the Harry Potter franchise. These are a bunch of woketards that stand for, I'm not going to support J.K. Rowling. I'm not going to buy any Harry Potter stuff. They're the first ones in fucking line to go see the movies, to purchase whatever it's on HBO Max and watch the series, buy all the paraphernalia, and then go virtue signal online. Yeah, I don't like, she said some random thing about something that I guess she's transphobic. So I'm boycotting. While the game may have been met with a positive player and critic response, well, I mean, then it was not boycotted. If it's met with a positive player response, there is no boycott. It was also subject to boycotts upon release. Avalanche Software and Warner Brothers games tried to placate fans within the game itself, adding a trans character. But the developer's attempt was poorly received. It goes without saying that Avalanche Software and Warner Brothers games cannot try to avoid controversy the same way Hogwarts Legacy did in the game's allegedly slated sequel. This is already the dumbest article in the world, but we're going to have some fun with it. J.K. Rowling has hurt Harry Potter and Hogwarts Legacy. She fucking created it. What are we doing here? It wouldn't exist without her. And now that it exists, they're saying, oh, now what you're doing, it's hurting it. This is her thing. What the hell? She decides what happens with it. This is her thing. Creeping through the promotion and marketing for Hogwarts Legacy prior to release was never-ending controversy surrounding J.K. Rowling's transphobic comments. Rowling's comments on the trans community, are they going to actually share the things she said? I hope they do. Rowling's comments on the trans community, in conjunction with the re-examination of portrayals of people of color in the Harry Potter books, have essentially reduced the legacy of Harry Potter from a juggernaut in young adult fiction to a nostalgic but messy memory. Yeah, because it got co-opted by white, woke, feminist, lunatic libtards that had to make it their own. and had to virtue signal with inserting black people in where there are not a black person. It just had to be done, though. The large majority of Rowling's comments were posted on her X, with the catalyst of these views being publicly perceived when she liked a tweet. Which I can't even get past it. When she liked a tweet in 2018 that described transgender women as men in dresses. Because they are. Where is the controversy? Since then, she has constantly posted about the issue on X and has been publicly labeled a TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist. Notice how there are 0 tweets quoted here. They only say she liked a tweet that was stating a fact. What? And that's what gets her canceled? What? Knowing J.K. Rowling's controversial positions, controversial that she believes in fact and living in a grounded reality. Wow. Controversial positions on the trans community. There is no such thing as a trans community. It's just people with mental illnesses. Specifically led Avalanche Software and Warner Brothers Games to include a minor transgender character. Well, that's verbiage, wording in Hogwarts Legacy. Serona Ryan is the main bartender at the Three Brooms. The game establishes that she is fiercely loyal to Hogwarts and its students, and she stands up to Victor Rookwood in a key scene. Though it's always great to see more representation in any kind of media. Is it? Serona Ryan does not truly add much to Hogwarts Legacy's plot, other than because it's always virtue signaling. As such, some have viewed the character's addition as performative representation rather than a meaningful statement against Rowling. There is no pleasing these people. There is no appeasing them. You cannot win. Don't even bother trying. It is a very, extremely loud, extremely vocal minority of people try to change the entire society to fit their own narrative. And people have woken up to it. J.K. Rowling's harmful statements towards the transgender community cannot be fixed by simply adding a transgender woman to her most popular work and main source of income. Candidly, there is nothing that Avalanche Software or Warner Brothers Games can do to avoid Rowling's controversial statements, as it's likely that she will never change her mind on the subject. Oh, cope and see that someone's more successful than you and doesn't believe in the same things you do. Oh, cope. But that doesn't mean the developer can't strive to improve the brand's trans representation. What? Like, what are we doing here? Like, full stop. Harry Potter needs to improve trans representation. Why? I didn't read the books. Maybe trans representation was in the books and I missed it. I did watch most of the movies. Didn't see all of them. Maybe I missed it. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments if there was somewhere in the Harry Potter universe where this was a thing that the game is missing out on. Because otherwise, this is just an accurate representation portraying what the books and movies are about. Why would you need to insert something that wasn't in the original creation of it? Why is that? Likely with the intent of avoiding its predecessor's boycott that was due to Rowling's statements, 34 million sales. Hogwarts Legacy 2 will likely take the same approach as its predecessor. Transgender Potterheads still exist. I can't even. Despite Rowling's statements. So the expansion of Serona Ryan as a character could be one. Yeah, that they are trying to tank the entire series. They're trying to tank the brand. They hate J.K. Rowling so much that if they're able to co-opt this and get them to make a trans character the priority, that will completely destroy the sales of the game. They know exactly what they're doing. And that's how they would get back at J.K. Rowling. That's how they'd be like, yep, we got a W. She's not making all this infinite money anymore. Nope. We got them to actually not sell it because we forced the trans ideology into something that we know people aren't going to buy. Games attempt to prevent a hypothetical boycott of Hogwarts Legacy. This expansion would have to be rather large and genuinely impact the story, rather than Serona Ryan's role from previous game maintained. Providing the character is not performative representation, but something more substantial. What the fuck? You want them to take their clothes off and flop their around? Like, what would be more substantial? What I'm like genuinely asking, what do you want them to have, like a story arc of how the bartender decided to be trans? And that's somehow integral to the plot of Harry Potter? What? Right away, a few ideas spring to mind. Serona Ryan's role as the head proprietor of the Three Broomsticks could be beneficial to the plot if the bar serves as a key location in Hogwarts Legacy 2. Perhaps he could once again come to the defense of her patrons, like the main students in the hypothetical sequel. If the game takes a mystery route, Serona Ryan could essentially act as the archetypal, trustworthy adult or mentor that mysteries led by teenagers tend to have. He could be a major quest giver and ally on certain tasks, appearing regularly throughout the entire game. Another option would be to include a transgender student as one of the key protagonists or companion. I can't even get through this article. This is so bad. This feels like it was written by like I was gonna say like a third grader, but a third grader wouldn't even know what transgenders are. This is someone who is older, but not emotionally developed at all. They have not emotionally developed past the level of third grade. So they feel like they're being an intellectual because they're just older and they know transgender. They've heard about transgender and they feel like this agenda and ideology is something that they've co-opted and have to be a part of and push their whole life. You know, they're an NPC meme, but they haven't progressed educationally past third grade. That's what this article is. It's so bad. The statements made by J.K. Rowling over the last 7 years regarding the transgender community have unfortunately damaged a piece of media that was once widely loved. Why? What has she said? Again, with the source, please. What did she say? What was so bad? What was so hurtful that you need to say it damaged Harry Potter? Though it ultimately comes down to fans deciding if they're willing to separate the art from the artist, Avalanche cannot clean up Rowling's mess. The developer behind Hogwarts Legacy can do more than insert a very minor trans character in the next game. They better fucking remove the trans character in the next game. Hopefully, characters like Serona Ryan can be featured more heavily in Hogwarts Legacy 2. You know what this is? This is not just necessarily pandering to Avalanche and Warner Brothers. This is virtue signaling to the entire games industry, saying this is what professional games journalism expects out of your games moving forward. And we're going to berate you if you do not add it. Look what we said about Hogwarts Legacy 2, where the game isn't even announced yet. It's just rumors of it happening. And we're already berating it for the potential of it not exploring transgender ideology. Why? Fuck if I know, but it better be there. What? Alongside transgender students to bring a sense of comfort to trans Potterheads who decide to give a game a try. Again, this is in the echo chamber, their bubble. They think that they're the majority. They are the extreme minority, the under 0.5%. I would say under 0.01% of people that care about Harry Potter are quote unquote identify as trans. But that is, my goodness, I made it through it. That was a brutal article. Brutal by Megan Lorich. Good Lord. Let's take a quick look on Hogwarts Legacy because a lot of people might forget the original boycott. This is from Reddit 2 years ago. Some random dude in my friends list started to harass me because I played Hogwarts Legacy, even had an alt account. Trigger warning. No, you're a willing direct supporter of a modern day neo-Nazi fascist that's willing to handicap people's lives like mine as much as possible through political ties and public power. You fund a project meant to proof the worthiness of LGBTQ plus people created by some of the largest fascists in the industry. You're a morally empty, selfish maggot. Maybe you should start seeing the world beyond downplayed descriptions of propaganda. Bro, get help. It's a video game. My goodness. It goes on and on and on. They said, okay, I guess, bro, I'm just playing a game. Oh, at the end, I'm not joking. You should really yourself. Honestly, yourself. Yeah, that they said that too. I'd rather KMS than be a shithead fascist. They wrote back, what? Oh, you're a transphobe? Sorry, I didn't know. What a great interaction. Hogwarts Legacy, one of the greatest selling games of all time, came out about 3 years ago or so. This is all-time concurrent. We're approaching 1 million just concurrently on Steam alone. Nearly 1 million concurrent players. And this is from almost 3 years ago. Right now, the game still has over 10,000 people playing it. In fact, 11,093. And in the 24-hour peak, almost 15,000 people concurrently playing this game that's 3 years old. I'd say that's a pretty good success. So you're trying to tell me that this boycott, which, yes, obviously it peaked really high, but for this longevity of it, to keep this steady in the past year is impressive. There is no boycott. The boycott that they tried to say happened never did. 12 million units of this game were sold in the first 2 weeks of launch. There were over 30 million units sold by November 2024. And in March 2025, they announced they reached 34 million units, which means that at this point, it's probably closer to like 36 million units or more. It is the best-selling video game globally for the year 2023. But yet we have Gamerant saying that it needs to try to figure out how to get past the controversy that is not a thing. This is, I've read some pretty ridiculous articles in the past. This is up there with some of the worst written articles I've ever seen. The entire premise of this is completely broken. I shouldn't be too surprised, but I'll leave that one there.